The SPFL player of the 21st century continues. It is Virgil van Dijk versus the one and only Scott Brown. The Rangers fan Scott Brown, but ended up playing for Celtic and doing 9 in a row. How the hell does that one work? But anyway, the poll was put up, and it is Scott Brown, in my opinion, in a pretty surprising upset, has defeated Virgil van Dijk with 67% of the votes. Virgil van Dijk got 33% of the vote, and it is Scott Brown that will move on into round 2, and it is Virgil van Dijk that has been eliminated in the running for the SPFL player of the 21st century, and it's going to be Scott Brown versus Kieran Tierney in round 2. Now, I actually agree with the voting here. I think if you look at it from a whole, Scott Brown had it's pretty much his whole playing career was in the SPFL. So I think when it comes down to that, when you break it down, Scott Brown had his whole career in the SPFL, and like I said, the 9 in a row for Celtic, was Celtic captain, was good at Hibs as well. That's how he earned the move to Celtic, albeit his Aberdeen run didn't exactly go to plan or whatever. It was a bit of a failure, but still, his entire career more or less was successful, and he won a shitload of trophies. Now, like, Virgil van Dijk had a couple of good seasons at Celtic. He got a big money move down south to the Premier League. He won titles while he was at Celtic, not denying that. However, I think with Virgil van Dijk, you could say there's two. First of all, he played under Ronnie Dyler, which didn't exactly help Virgil van Dijk, did it? That he was playing with probably the worst Celtic manager. Is it the worst Celtic manager ever? And at least in my lifetime, Tony Mowbray was pretty bad, but I would give Ronnie Dyler that I would give him that prize of being that award for being the worst Celtic manager in my lifetime. And I think the other thing that really hurts Van Dijk is the fact that he played with Celtic when Rangers weren't in the league, and it is what it is. We can say back then, even if Rangers were in the league, they were not up to standard, they would not have posed any sort of threat, and that's completely true. But at the same time, he still didn't play against Rangers. He had it easy in Scotland. Celtic nearest challengers were Aberdeen, and Aberdeen just over a course of a season. The likelihood of them being able to mount a title challenge is pretty much next to nothing. So, Van Dijk was great, but at the end of the day, he was there at Celtic for a few seasons when the other top club in Scotland wasn't in the top flight. So for me, I think you have to mark Virgil van Dijk down a little bit, and I agree with Scott Brown winning this poll. Now, if you ask me who the better player was, it's probably Van Dijk, there's no denying that. But in terms of who is the best player in the SPFL in the 21st century, for me, it's 100% Scott Brown. So I agree with the vote, guys. Anyway, that is it. Up next, we have Fraser Forster of Celtic versus James McFadden of Motherwell. Should be an interesting tie. I love James McFadden, one of my favourite players of all time. Can he get enough of Faddy? So yeah, be interesting to see how that goes down. Fraser Forster, one of Celtic's best goalkeepers, again, in my lifetime. Probably a toss-up between him, Boric. For some reason, Craig Gordon never really got the accolades he deserved while at Celtic, in my opinion. So yeah, Fraser Forster, McFadden up next. Should be a good one. I'll catch you guys later. The poll will be in the community section, so get voting. I will see you in the next one. And of course, until then, until next time, peace.